Let's jump into the patch notes for Soulmask from June 14th. This is, I think, the third hotfix in just 14 days. So it's really cool to see them continue to look at player feedback and make adjustments based on that feedback. Jumping right into it, the major balance adjustments adjusted the difficulty of monsters in the volcano and the snow mountain areas, as well as the difficulty of the 5 major bosses in the pyramids on Doom difficulty. Improve the overall difficulty progression in the game. So I did some testing this morning. You're watching me fight the Sabertooth of Doom right now. I have not been able to do this fight even in steel gear up until this point. This morning I jumped on there because I wanted to see what the differences were, and I feel like the adjustments have made this fight slightly easier. So you are not being hit for as much damage from this enemy, and then it's actually giving you milliseconds more time to engage in things like healing. So this fight is much more balanced, and if you've had difficulties with this fight in the past, go ahead and give it a shot now. I also went up to the snow biome and checked out some of the enemies up there. I was able to defeat an elite snow leopard a bit easier this morning, so I feel like that's a good thing. It was very difficult going through that snow area prior to this update. It's still not easy, but it is easier. They've increased the drop multiplier for all 5 major bosses and for elite enemies in multiplayer battles, so that's good. If you're coming up here with friends, you're going to get more items. They reduced the aggro transfer from plunderers and outcasts towards players. So I'm not entirely sure what that means, the aggro transfer. My guess is that if a plunderer is fighting something else, it won't automatically jump off of fighting that other thing to come attack you. Increase the level bonus for kill XP with higher level creatures and barbarians, granting more XP. I think this is a really good change, a step in the right direction, but I think Soulmask needs to look at XP across the board, especially on official servers. I feel like the XP that you gain is very, very low, and I think they need to boost that up. Honestly, I'm playing on a boosted server, and it's been about 117 hours for me to reach level 60 with the experience boosted by 5. I feel like at 1, you're looking at 400 some hours just to reach level 60. Increase starter characters' basic stamina recovery speed by 100%. So it's going to be 100% faster for your initial character. Now, there's nothing in here that talks about your tribes people, so it's a good possibility that you won't see the speed increase unless you're playing with your initial character. However, they did reduce the stamina recovery wait time from 1 second to half a second, and I think that's across all the characters. They increased the output speed for honey and beeswax in the beehives. That's a good change. They also increased the beehive output, and it is now influenced by the automated production base output multiplier. I'm not sure what that multiplier is. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit. I haven't found anywhere where that's shown in the game, so I'm going to dig into that and see if I can figure out what that exactly means. But all in all, you should be seeing more honey and beeswax being produced in your beehives. Under gameplay and function adjustments, the first line here says mounts come in different qualities featuring different speeds. This has been in the game. I'm not sure why they're talking about this. They must have made some adjustment to it because the speed just says 100% prior to this patch. I'm not sure if they've changed that now, but if you are looking for a faster mount, you want a higher quality mount. They added a setting for solo and private server mode to increase or support the quality of the mounts for the jaguar and snow leopard cubs. So if you're looking to get a better cub and you're playing on solo or a private server, you can go in and adjust that setting so that those spawn more regularly. The mimicry ability of the initial Civilization, Conquest, and Rich masks is changed to become usable after the node is repaired. I don't know why this is in here. Maybe there was a bug with that, but I didn't have any problem going into mimicry mode with those 3 masks. They've added a setting to change the HP, attack, and defense of creatures in solo and private server mode. The requirement for iron wire in the craftsman bench upgrade part has been removed. So there was an issue where the craftsman bench upgrade part unlocked at level 35, but unfortunately you weren't able to craft it because you needed iron wire, and that didn't unlock till level 36. So they fixed that if that was something that stopped you from progressing. Remove this setting that the character will die instantly instead of entering the near-death status upon taking deadly damage in the head. So instead of just dying outright if you got hit in the head, you will now fall to the ground and enter the near-death state. Quite possibly the best patch note I have read so far for Soulmask is that invaders of player bases will no longer use grease tanks. I don't know if you guys went up against this, but it was absolutely ridiculous. I went up against it a couple of times and it was just no fun dealing with those enemies with the grease tanks, so I'm glad they've removed this. They adjusted the refresh rule for the Holy Relic chest. It will now refresh normally even when there are offline players in the room. So if someone logged out in the room with the chest, this will not stop the chest from respawning. The last time I covered the patch notes, they talked about the fact that they changed the look for each one of the pyramid bosses depending on its level. So the regular level, then the berserker level, and then the doom level, each one of them had a different look. And I mentioned in a live stream that I really wanted to see them add the mounted head to look like the boss that you defeated. So you would know if you mounted the doom head or the berserker head when you placed it on the wall. They've added those now. So you now get the corresponding specimen for the pyramid boss dependent on its difficulty. So the 3 different heads for the Sabertooth, for example, are all going to display differently on your wall. And each one of them is going to have a higher value of comfort level. Moving down to experience optimization, they are improving on the combat AI of deployed tribesmen. When the master, you, attacks a target, the deployed tribesman in assist mode will also attack the target instead of just standing around, reducing the probability of pacing during combat, making deployed tribesmen more proactive in attacking. Increase the wind-up time and shorten the hit spot time for the Anaconda's wrap skill. They also increase the cooldown for the Anaconda's wrap skill to 8 seconds. So if you were going into a fight with an Anaconda, you got wrapped up, you then got knocked out, and you were going back into that fight, prior to this, it could just do the wrap skill again. Now there's an 8-second cooldown before it'll do that again, so it makes that fight a little bit more manageable. They reduced the attack frequency of feline creatures when performing follow-up attacks from behind. And these attacks now include an effect that dismounts targets. So if you were running past a feline on a mount and it caught up to you, it would just sit there and bite over and over and over again. Now, if you do that and it bites you, it will dismount you, but it's not going to follow up with a barrage of attacks. They increase the collection output of monkeys, so if you've had monkeys just kind of hanging around, they should now be bringing more of those things you've asked them to gather into your monkey stumps. They optimized some crowding issues among tribesmen, added a prompt when navigating to a workbench that is obstructed. They've optimized the spawn positions and disengagement distances for large camp ruins bosses. So you used to be able to just leash the boss a little bit away from where they spawn and they would just run back. But they've optimized that. I don't know if that means that they have a shorter leash distance or a larger one, but when you're going in to fight those ruins bosses, keep that in mind that where they stopped before may not be where they stop chasing you now. They made adjustments to fish traps for construction space, capture efficiency, and the number of catches to encourage proper use and prevent the impact on the game environment and server performance due to excessive use of traps. We have some mask adjustments here, starting with the tactical guidance mask. The reconnaissance now increases deployed tribesman HP by an additional 100%. Full out attack now increases deployed tribesman attack by an additional 50%. Positional defense now increases deployed tribesman's defense by an additional 50%. Emergency mobilization now triggers at 5% damage taken instead of 10% damage taken, and the recovery effect has been adjusted to restore 50% of the damage taken rather than 5% of the max HP. They adjusted the natural enlightenment mask. Nature's blessing now increases resilience by 10 instead of 5. Increase the duration of animals summoned by nature's heart from 300 seconds to 600 seconds. Expanded the types of animals summonable by nature's heart to include animals in the ruins. Into some bug fixes here. I'm going to skip through a whole bunch of these, so if you want to read everything in these patch notes, the link is in the description of this video. But the ones that I want to point out here are: fix the issue where no barbarians in the game own the title Archery Master. I actually was out capturing people today and I found my first Archery Master, so it's very cool seeing that added into the game. They fixed the incorrect configuration of the vulture's skill damage type. I'm not sure if that makes them more dangerous or less dangerous at this point in time, but vultures are definitely not fun to fight. They also fixed an issue where spears were prematurely launched when squatting. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't be out of whack. There's another video on the screen right now that you can watch to support more of my content.